Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on a very important concept in Vedic astrology, which is the concept of determining your yearly horoscope, your customized yearly prediction, and even in that, there is a concept called as the MUNTHA. That is something which we will try to understand in this video. So guys, I will be very honest with you, just because I uploaded a recent video on the upcoming new year, Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. So after that, lot many people were like asking me, and even in the Bharati Vidya Bhavan as well, when I keep on having discussion with people that, okay, if I have to narrow down or if I have to figure out someone's theme of the year, which all tools we could use, then some people say that, okay, you can use the transit of the important major planets like Saturn and Jupiter. You can also look at the Lal Kitab Varshphal from the numerology. You can also look at the personal year. So someone mentioned this thing that, but do not forget to look at the MUNTHA. That also intrigued me. And I also remember, like, right at a time when I had my birthday. So like, this is a kind of a thing which has been done in our family from past so many years, that on the birthdays, our family Pandit, he comes, the priest for the English audience, and he does the Navgrah Shanti, like 9 planets appeasement ritual, like proper Havan Puja for the person who is having a birthday on that day. And then he predict things on the basis of the forecast of the year, right, on your birthday. So I still remember, like, this year only, when this our family Pandit, he came, when he was predicting things, somehow he mentioned this thing, he took this word MUNTHA. Oh, so your MUNTHA is in this year, in this house. So that also intrigued me. So I had some idea about it, but just because I've been hearing this term from lot many people around me, and very soon I'll be uploading the Chaitra Shukla Pratipada, the upcoming Hindu Lunar New Year predictions, customized to all the moon signs as well. So I just thought in this standalone video, we can have our discussion on that. What is the right way or the technique which is used in the Varshphal or the yearly forecast calculation? So definitely guys, because I will not be getting more into the manual calculation part, because that is something which I'm keeping it reserved, because very soon I will be starting my own classes as well on my channel, and you will soon be receiving the notification all around my social media handles that now I'm starting up with the batches. Those who want to take admission or enroll, they can consider doing that. So all the intricate calculation part we will do over there. This is just going to be a video for all those people who have not heard about this term. So what is the importance of this term, how to make it use in your calculation, that is something which we will try to do. And definitely guys, these days it becomes very important to give credit to the author. You should always be giving that, but just because we keep on reading the concepts from so many books, sometimes it gets like skipped from the mind. So one of the very renowned, eminent, one of my favorite astrologer, Dr. K.S. Charak sir. So the concept of the Varshphal, your annual horoscope, which I will be explaining in this video, has been taken from his work in different books. So okay guys, I will be just explaining you through the slides, and at the end I will explain you the importance of it through one real life case study. And I'm very much sure you must be already knowing about whose chart is that, although I will not tell you. So okay guys, the very first concept is for the Varshphal, any of the Varshphal calculation, you have to first start with, the way I mentioned, with the term called as the MUNTHA. So how to calculate that? So guys, that's very simple. If you will want to know the calculation part, so it's the progressive Lagan of yours. So it's like, you could understood in this way, that your Lagan in progress. So for example, MUNTHA for you on the second year, like on your second birthday, is going to be the second sign from your ascendant. Your MUNTHA on the third year of your birth is going to be the third sign from your ascendant. Now when we talk about the, like, let's say for example, whatever year you're born in, but you want to know and calculate it for your upcoming birthday. So like if your birthday is in Feb 10th, for example, and birth year whatever it might be. And now you want to calculate that, okay, I want to calculate my MUNTHA. How shall I go ahead with it? So the formula for that is, first of all, you have to calculate the number of completed years. Now this concept of number of completed years sometimes also becomes very confusing. It's very simple. Whatever your birth year is, so like for example, someone who has got a birth year of 1986, all what you have to do simply, if you want to calculate it for the 2024, so you have to subtract 2024, like you have to from 2024 you have to subtract 1986. Whatever resulting number you will get, that is going to be considered as your number of completed years. So your number of completed years plus Lagan sign in your birth chart, whatever Lagan sign you have in your birth chart. So for example, if in your ascendant you are a Libra Lagna, so you being a Libra Lagna, so all what you have to do is that we have already calculated your number of completed years. You have to add the sign present in your Lagan chart. If it is Libra, then put 7. If it is Taurus, put 2. If it is Aries, put 1. And then you have to divide it by 12. And the number which you will get, the remainder gives the sign in which the MUNTHA is placed in the relevant annual chart. So guys, again I will explain it to you. So let's say for example, someone who is born in 1986, so and you have to calculate the MUNTHA for the year 2024. That's very simple. 2024 minus 1986 will give you the number of completed years, which in this example will come out to be 38. Then you have to add the Lagan sign in the birth chart. Now the reference chart which I'll be showing in this video has got a Aries Lagna. Then you will add plus 1. Then you will divide it by 12. So we got 38 plus 1, 39. You divide it by 12. You will get the remainder as the 3. So that is going to be the MUNTHA. Now guys, now what you have to do is that the remainder gives you the sign in which the MUNTHA is placed in the relevant annual chart. So here we are talking about the sign. So just because for a Aries Lagna, that means we have got the resulting number as the number 3 as the remainder, that is equal to the Gemini sign. So Gemini is going to be the MUNTHA. Now you have to just see that when you will calculate the yearly chart, Varshphal chart, you have to see that where this sign is falling, where MUNTHA is falling, where Gemini is falling. So now guys, certain calculation part of it. So auspicious houses for MUNTHA to be placed in your annual chart, Varshphal chart, are considered as the house number 9, house number 10 and house number 11. So if your MUNTHA is placed in these houses in your annual chart, in your annual Varshphal chart for that specific year, that year will actually prove to be very successful, can actually promise some important events. Now if you will find that the MUNTHA in your annual Varshphal chart is placed in the house number 1, house number 2, house number 3 or house number 5, 1, 2, 3 or 5, you will get the results but only through very hard personal efforts. And guys, the inauspicious houses in the annual Varshphal chart for MUNTHA to be placed in are considered as the house number 4, house number 6, house number 7, house number 8 and house number 12. So now guys, and along with that, if you will find that the Lord of the MUNTHA, the sign in which the MUNTHA is located, it will also give adverse results if the Lord of the MUNTHA is also placed in the 4, 6, 7, 8 or house number 12. Now guys, when we talk about the interpretation, so definitely it is the promise of the birth chart that is confirmed in the annual Varshphal chart. The latter in itself means the Varshphal, the annual chart in itself cannot give what the natal chart does not promise. I guess that is the same principle which applies in your transit video as well. I always say this thing that whatever I'm mentioning, I'm giving you a ballpark figure. The exact results, the way it will come has to be dependent on the promise in your ascendant chart along with the running time period. So the annual chart must be employed to have a more comprehensive view of the events indicated by the natal chart. So let's say for example, if your annual chart being calculated is promising some very good dhan yoga in that year, so in your natal chart you should have that eligibility to have those wealth yogas in your chart, and the running dasha should be activating it. And if it is falling in the same lines in the Varshphal chart, then it becomes a double validation that yes, in this year you will make money. Now guys, when we talk about some sort of special features which you do not have to use right at this stage, because a lot of that guys is going to be very well calculated in your Varshphal predictions and report as well. This video is just to give you an insight that if you are an ardent follower of astrology and someday you come across any astrologer, any astrology report where they say this thing that MUNTHA and all these terms, so in the back of your mind you have a basic idea about it. So guys, planetary aspect and relations. So planets are considered as friendly in the annual Varshphal chart. Planets are placed mutually in the houses 3, 5, 9 and 11 from each other. So planetary aspect and relation is considered as very friendly between the planets placed mutually in the houses 3, 5, 9 and 11 from each other. Now they are considered as, their relation is considered as inimical between the planets placed mutually in houses, like they are conjunct, they are in opposition or 10 places from each other. After that guys, their relation is considered as neutral between the planets placed mutually in houses 2, 6, 8 and 12 from each other. Now guys, when we talk about the dasha in this Varshphal, so they use one dasha called as the Vimshotri Mudda Dasha. So same what like we have a Vimshotri Mahadasha which we use in our natal chart, which is breakdown of the life corresponding to 120 years of the lifespan. So over here, because it's a Varshphal for 1 year, we have to reduce it to 1 year, and along with that same is the case, we use the Yogini Dasha as well. Now Yogini Dasha, those who are already using it must be knowing about it. Mangla, Pingla, Dhanya, Brahmri, Bhadrika, Ulka, Siddha, Sankata. So 36 years of the planetary time period. So same way, all of that has to be reduced to a 1 year time span, and then you have to make assumptions or assessments and observations over there. And guys, when we talk about the year lord, yogas and sahams, that I will explain you later on because it's a little bit complicated for just a standalone video. Now guys, some sort of tools of observation which you have to use. So let's say for example, if you have already by now, you have already opened up the app like Astro Sage, and you have your yearly forecast like Varshphal chart right in front of you. So these are the scales on which you have to assess it, you have to observe it. So the rule number 1 is position of the birth lagan, which means the sign identical with the lagan in the birth chart must be observed for its placement in the annual chart. The house in which the birth lagan falls in the annual chart gets activated. I guess guys, it is the same concept via which we study the divisional charts as well. So it's very simple. For example, if in my main ascendant chart, my rising sign, my lagan is Aries, so I have to see that in my annual chart, the Varshphal chart, where the Aries sign is falling, because that house is going to get activated in this year. Point number 2, Varsh lagan and the birth chart. The house in the birth chart which becomes the lagan in the annual chart also gets activated. So that means during that year, whatsoever sign has become your Varshphal lagan, that sign where it is falling in the ascendant chart as well, that house will also get activated. It's like a Rashi Tulya Navamsha concept which you must have studied. So I will explain it to you. So if in my birth lagan chart I have a Aries, and my yearly forecast, yearly chart for 2024, I've got a Sagittarius rising over there. So where the Sagittarius is falling in my birth Lagna chart in the 9th house, that house will also get activated. After that guys, importance of the 6th and the 8th houses. When the sign identical with the 6th or 8th house of the birth chart becomes the ascendant in the annual chart, it proves inauspicious and particularly adverse for health. That's very simple. If it is a Aries Lagna in the birth chart, and in the yearly forecast Varshphal chart, in the 6th house in the birth chart, you will find the Virgo. In the 8th house, you will find, in the birth chart, you will find the Scorpio, and in the 12th house, you will find the Pisces. Now, if that becomes the rising sign in the Varshphal chart, Virgo or Scorpio or Pisces, then it might be a year filled with difficulties. Now, guys, after that, natal Lagna Lord in the annual chart. So, a benefic position of the natal Lagna Lord in the annual chart ensures a comfortable year, and adverse location indicates otherwise. That's very simple. If in my annual chart, my first house Lord is well placed, that year will be supported by success and supporting events. Malefics in the birth chart. So a malefic occupying a Kendra in the birth chart, happening to be occupying the Lagna in the annual chart, causes adverse results. Benefics in such situations produce good results. So for example, any malefic planet placed in my angular houses in the birth chart, if that is placed in the first house of the the annual chart, that will also create adversity. And income and losses, guys. So malefics in the 2nd house, particularly when the Lagna happen to be movable sign, lead to loss of money. A weak planet in the 11th house causes loss of wealth. Because guys, a lot many times when we are trying to figure out our yearly forecast or yearly thing, a primary concern majority of the people have is of the money and the wealth. So what has been written over here is that if you have malefic in the 2nd house, that too, when you're I'm talking about the annual Varshphal chart. So you have a malefic in the 2nd house, that too when your Lagna is of a movable sign, Aries, Cancer, Libra or Capricorn. So that leads to loss of money. And also planets which are weak, which are afflicted, being placed in the 11th house is not a very supporting sign. Now guys, when we talk about, because majority of the people also have the concerns of the progeny as well, like am I going to become a father or mother or parenthood in this year or not? So the progeny is something, the way you have to calculate it. Jupiter as the lord of the year, occupying the 5th or the 11th house, supports childbirth during the year. The sign occupied by Jupiter in the natal chart, happening to become the Lagna in the annual chart, also promises childbirth under a favorable Dasha in the birth chart. So guys, I'll explain it to you. So for example, there is a concept called Lord of the Year. I will explain you very soon. It's very simple. You have to see that if the Jupiter becomes your Lord of the Year, and it is also occupying the 5th or the 11th house in the Varshphal chart, 5th house or the 11th house, because 5th house is the house of the progeny, child. So that will support the childbirth during that year. Along with that, in your birth chart, natal chart, so the reference chart which I will be showing it to you, in that reference chart, Jupiter is placed in the Aquarius. Now if Aquarius becomes the first house in the Varshphal chart, yearly chart, that could be a very good promise for a childbirth in that year. Marriage, so same way guys, involvement of the 7th lord and Lagna lord in the annual chart or any involvement with Venus or Mars is a good indication. And guys, when we talk about profession, so we have to see the placement of the sun. So if sun is very well placed in the annual chart, in the 1st house, 5th house, 9th house, 10th house, 11th house, will promise recognition, favors and success. So 1st, 5th, 9th, 10th or 11th placed sun is a very supporting sign. And lastly guys, when we talk about the sufferings, so that's very self-explanatory. You have to see that the Lagna lord of the annual chart, having a direct malefic planet in the 12th house and a retrograde one in the 2nd house. So it means, see, the thing is, if you have a direct malefic planet in the 12th house, so it is moving forward, and there is a retrograde malefic planet in the second house, it is coming back. So that is how they are squeezing your yearly chart, your Varshphal chart. So again, I'll repeat, in the yearly calculated chart, Varshphal chart, if you have a malefic in the 12th house, which is moving forward, and retrograde in the second house, which is kind of squeezing it back, it is a sign of some sort of suffering. Second thing, placement of the annual charts Lagan Lord in the 8th house or in association with Mars is a sign of suffering. Sign occupied by Saturn in the birth chart, ascendant, your birth chart, becomes the Lagan in the annual chart, Varshphal chart, is a sign of suffering. And lastly, Mars or Saturn in a afflicted state in the 1st house or 10th house is a indication of suffering again. So now guys, after getting a basic idea about what do I mean, now I will show you how to practically use it in your readings. So guys, for example, as you can see the reference chart in your screen, so this person here, I'm first talking about the birth chart of this person. Aries Lagna, ascendant lord, 10th house lord, 11th house lord, Saturn and Mars in the 8th house. So definitely person might be injury, tattoo prone, or person might be very much invested in occult and secretive sciences and all. 11th house seems to be very promising. Sun is placed in the 10th house. All the planets are in the axis of Rahu and Ketu. So that means Rahu is very strong, because Rahu is also very tightly conjunct with the ascendant degrees. Moon is also placed in the Sadbhisha nakshatra, and all the planets are in its axis. So yes, Rahu and Ketu are strong. Second thing is that first we have to see the Vimshotri Dasha. See, because before finally landing at your yearly Varshphal predictions, you have to first see that in a regular way what exactly is chart promising. So guys, if you will look at the Vimshotri Dasha, the person is in the Saturn Mahadasha. Within Saturn, person is in the Moon Antardasha. Now first we have to make observation only with these two tools. We got to know Saturn and the Moon. Now what role Saturn plays for this chart? It is the 10th and the 11th house lord, placed in the 8th house. So that means native can get success if it is strongly operating in the domain of the 8th house, research, occult, meditation, all these kind of practices. But definitely Saturn and the 8th house, struggle and resistance and delays is something which is going to be the highlight or theme of this person right now. Now when we talk about the role of the Antardasha, so Moon becomes the 4th house lord. It is placed in a very good house. It has gone 8th house from it. But guys, the good part is that Moon is very close to it has just come out of the new moon. It is like on the Dvitiya Tithi. So a waxing second day of the moon is generally considered as weak. But the case for the Aries Lagna native is that for the Aries Lagna specifically, a weak moon becomes a Raj Yog Karaka. So as you can see that with this kind of domain, a native, irrespective of all the hardship, struggle and all, in the running time period, being highlighted in a public domain, that is getting very strongly promised, because all the planets are in the 11th house. That is something which is the promise. First, we have to always see the promise in the chart. So that promise of being highlighted for whatever this person will do, good or bad, is separate. Being highlighted, being in the limelight, that is getting promised. And the current time in the activated Dasha is supporting that. So two things get verified. Now let's include another Dasha system. Let's include the Yogini Dasha as well. Now if we look at it from the Yogini Dasha, the person is in the Dasha of the Brahmari, of the like planet Mars of 4 years. Now Mars is the ascendant lord, placed in the 8th house. In a way, 8th house is again coming into picture. Second thing is that the native is till March 2024, native is in the Brahmari and the Brahmari period, but after that he will be in the sub period of the Bhadrika, of the Mercury. So now Mercury is the 3rd house lord. It is placed in the 11th house. So for social media, connections, networking, marketing, launching any product, networking, performing arts, this might be very supporting time. So that is something which we get to know from the existing tools. Now let's see what does the Varshphal promises over here. So now guys, if you will look at the Varshphal, so the way I explain it to you, that you have to first calculate. And again guys, I'm not getting deeper into the nitty-gritty of the calculation part. You can do it from the software. I can promise you that once I will start my course on my channel, you will see the notification over there. I will get you into the deeper nitty-gritty of the calculation part. Otherwise it will become very monotonous, very boring. So now if you will look at the Varshphal chart, over here you can see in the middle the chart, the calculated sign comes out to be of the Sagittarius. We can see over here that the sign lord, which is the planet Jupiter, it is placed in the 5th house. So that means because Varshphal is calculated from your birthday of that year to the next birthday. So that means that during this year, Venus, the significator of relationship in the 1st house, is a first promise of relationship, media, marketing, romance, love. And the Varshphal 1st house lord has also gone to the 5th house. Again, 5th house of art, entertainment, creativity, childbirth, romance, all of that the points which we have discussed so far are getting applicable. And again guys, you have to see how these two charts are responding with each other. So we can see that the Varshphal chart for the 2024 has become from the 9th house of the Lagan chart. That is a first supportive sign. And along with that, so 1st and 9th axis in itself, the way the Varshphal chart is making a connection with the like a umbilical cord with the ascendant chart is a combination of 1 and the 9 is always a supportive indication that luck will support the native this year. Along with that, some fortunate travels as well. And along with that guys, as you can see that what we calculated from the Yogini Dasha, that Mars was coming into highlight, Brahmari. And as you can see that Mars in the Varshphal chart is exalted in the 2nd house, which also happened to be the ascendant chart's ascendant lord as well. So again, for the finance point of view, it is a good indication. Third thing is that native from the Vimshotri Dasha is in the Saturn moon time period. If you look at here in the Varshphal chart, they both are placed in the 3rd house. I mentioned from the Yogini Dasha, within the Brahmari, Bhadrika period is about to begin. So for 3rd house to get activated, the year is very supportive for that as well. So guys, and along with that, like while assessing the Varshphal chart, the Panch Adhikari, knowing about them also becomes very important, in which the MUNTHA lord, now I forgot to mention about the MUNTHA, the most important aspect of any Varshphal calculation. So guys, the calculation which we did, the way I did the calculation for this reference chart only, where we got the completed years as the 38. The plus, you have to add the sign in the Lagan chart. In the birth Lagan chart, 1st house, that is 1, Aries. 38 plus 1, 39 divided by 12, you will get the remainder as 3. That sign 3 is the Gemini, so which in the Varshphal chart is where the MUNTHA is going to be placed. Over here, the number 3 sign Gemini falls in the 7th house. That means MUNTHA is in the 7th house in this Varshphal Lagan, and the MUNTHA lord is going to be Mercury, which is placed in the 2nd house. So again guys, when I was explaining it to you, the ideal placement of the MUNTHA in the Varshphal chart, I mentioned that in the 7th house, it is not considered as very good. And the second thing is that, but the good part is that, because the 7th house lord, the MUNTHA Rashi lord has gone to the 2nd house, it might be good for the finance point of view. But let's say for example, for the health and well-being of the partner or with the partners and all, this is not a very good indication. And again guys, the way I was talking about the Panch Adhikari, 5 essential elements in any of the Varshphal chart assessment. First becomes the MUNTHA lord. In this reference, it becomes Mercury. Second becomes the birth ascendant lord, which is planet Mars in the main Lagan chart. Then becomes the year ascendant lord. So now guys, the year ascendant lord is something which we generally have to take into consideration, that out of all the 3-4 entities which I have just explained over here, which planet is the strongest. So Jupiter seems to be strongest. It is also the Varshphal's 1st house sign lord as well. And guys, when we talk about the 3 Rashi lord and the Din Ratri lord, that is a calculation which is done on the basis of when you manually calculate, when you do the manual calculation of the Varshphal, the Lagan Samay, Lagan Pravesh Samay. So the time of that becomes very important. If the calculated time happens to be of the of these after the sunset, then we take into consideration moon's sign lord. And if it happens to be of during the day, then we have to take into consideration the sign lord of the planet sun, wheresoever sun is placed in the chart. Now because over here the 3 Rashi lord and the Din Ratri Lord, both are the planet Saturn, because if you will look at the sign of the both the planet Moon and the Sun, they both are placed in the Saturnian signs. So yes guys, there are like many more intricate like calculation, but as a beginner, if next time you come across any Vedic astrologer or any of your family pandit, priest coming to your place, and while doing your 9 planets appeasement ritual puja, and after that while revealing your yearly forecast using the word MUNTHA, the Lagan and all, the Varshphal Lord and all, then at least you have a basic idea about how to do the calculation. I would say that to an extent you have to study it the way the principles you have been applying in your assessment of the divisional chart as well. But yes, over here the Dasha gets narrowed to only 1 year. The yogas called calculation, they're like much more intricate details, but at least this video must have proved to be informational to at least create a base for you. And definitely guys, in the coming videos we might try to I might try to take another example video for the similar concept as well. So yes guys, this is something which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For furthermore updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram account. Dhanyavad.